Hey, good morning. This is Mayor Valensky with Driving Markets. Anything said in this piece is media publication only. It's only an opinion, no advice, no financial advice. So hopefully you make money. If you don't, I'm sorry, I can't help. Also, people are asking why is it called Driving Markets. I'm going to mention on a regular basis it's called Driving Markets because I drive in the car and give a report on the markets. So I call it Driving Markets. That's why it's quite sort of a clicky little number. Okay, so I had just very quickly for 1 minute. The markets went up yesterday because the Bank of England came in and started buying UK bonds because the bonds had crashed and the pound had crashed because effectively investors and central banks have lost faith in the UK due to the mini budget last week, which was effectively a disaster. You're throwing a stimulus package into Joe Public's hands, into the consumer, when inflation is already rampant, and that just adds further concerns. So everyone sold UK shares, sold the pound, sold the UK bonds, etc., and the UK government treasury had to come in and reassure the market by buying the bonds and supporting their treasuries, because if the bonds fall and the pound falls, then you've got serious fiscal, financial problems in the UK, and they could end up being a junk country. England can't allow that to happen, so it had to come in and buy the bonds. And what happened was that sent a message to all of the traders and the investors and the banks around the world. Hold on, the governments will come in and help us out, and therefore everything's okay. We're not going to go down because once again the government's going to help us. Everything's going to be rosy, and all the markets went up, expecting now that America's going to introduce a stimulus package, and Europe and France and Germany and Asia, and everything's going to go back to rosy. The market's going to go up to the super highs again, and then we'll have inflation at not 8 or 9%, inflation at 20, 25%, 30% official. Okay, that's a little bit of background. Now, I've been asked specifically to give a brief rundown. Why is the dollar so strong? Why is the dollar so strong? Why is not the euro strong, or the pound strong, or the Aussie dollar strong? Why is the US dollar strong? Okay, a little bit of background. The US dollar has always been the central major global currency around the world. A currency reflects the strength of the economy, and also it's a safe haven. So there's two aspects there. Now, the US dollar became strong back in the 1970s when gold was replaced for petrodollars. Petrodollars was where the Arab countries were producing oil, but they had to price it in US dollars to make it a globally desired currency. And that's exactly what happened back in the 1970s when the US went into an agreement with Saudi Arabia and all the other oil producing countries, OPEC basically, that oil will be priced in US dollars. That's a basic fact. There are other factors, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. Now, the United States, is a huge economy, has massive conglomerates, huge corporate empires. It's a manufacturing country, it's a service country, it's a tourist country, it's full of minerals, it's full of hard raw materials. And that makes it valuable, makes the land valuable, and makes the industry valuable. As a result of having that value, there is an intrinsic value, a deep value within the currency, which is the US dollar, because the might of the US, the vastness of the US, and its manufacturing ability gives its strength, more so than other countries. Now, there are other countries like Russia or China that could have, or Australia have, equal in minerals or raw materials. However, they don't have the manufacturing capacity, the might that the US has. And because it's such a mighty country and it's the #1 economy, then that gives it an attraction to its currency, which is the US dollar. So that's basic attraction. However, there's another attraction in times of crisis or discernment or concern. Then the investor, the trader, and the banks will turn to the US dollar as a security asset, because whatever's backed by the US has got fundamental backing to it. It's got assets behind it, and that again, going back, is the manufacturing ability, and the pure land itself is worth huge amounts of money, and therefore that gives it another attraction in times of crisis to be sought after. So therefore it's got an attraction on that part as well. Now we're going to add in another dimension besides those two factors. The other dimension is interest rates. the US economy is very, very strong. The retail sales are strong and the consumer is strong. However, it's also got a rising interest rate environment, much more than the rest of Europe or the rest of the world. And therefore, when you're going to get a better return on your money investing in US assets or US dollar, then that makes it an attractive currency to buy or to invest in or to hold. And that's a reason why it's gone up. However, when you look at the US dollar versus the other currencies like the pound and the euro, where their economies are failing, or you've got furthermore, not only where the economies are failing, where they've got high inflation, lack of control, and the manufacturing output is nowhere near that of the US, then their currencies become deflated. So you've got their currencies going down as a result of poor economic activity, and then what you've got is a strong US dollar and a weak other currency like the pound, which was hammered in the last few days, and the euro, which would be hammered even more because their economies are in a poor state and they need to raise interest rates which are far behind what America is raising. Therefore they become less attractive and the dollar becomes, so that makes the US dollar more attractive. So it's higher interest rate, it's more secure, it's got a better economy, it's got better assets in terms of the country. Overall, it's the strongest economy in the world. And then you've got other currencies that are not as strong as America. They're not raising interest rates as fast as America, and they haven't got the assets within the country to support that particular currency. So a good example, as I said earlier on, is the euro and the dollar, and they're in trouble. The euro, sorry, not the euro and the pound, not the dollar. The euro and the pound, they're in trouble because they are very weak against the US dollar. I'm hoping that's given you a little bit of background regarding why the US dollar is so strong and why it's so sought after. As a general view, you can expect the dollar to get stronger and the other currencies to get weaker. This is Meir Volensky with Driving Markets. You can share it on YouTube, you can share it on Instagram. I also do shorts on YouTube, do Twitter, and all the types of media. So subscribe, pass your comments. Hope it was informative. Have a good day.